All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are going to break down a topic that, let's be honest, most of us put off because it feels complicated and maybe a little heavy. We're talking about wills and trusts. And I promise, by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly what you need to know to protect your family's future.
So let's just dive right in with the most important question of all. What happens if you don't have a plan? You have no will, no trust, nothing. Where does all this stuff you've worked so hard for actually go? Well, the answer, unfortunately, is one single, pretty intimidating word: probate. This is the legal system's default plan for you if you don't have a plan for yourself. But what does probate really mean for the people you love? I mean, picture this. It's a public court process that drags on for, on average, 1 to 3 years. And for that entire time, your family's access to bank accounts and other key assets is totally frozen, all while legal fees and court costs are just piling up, sometimes into the tens of thousands of dollars. It's slow, it's expensive, and it's all out in the open.
Okay, so how do you avoid that whole maze? Well, you've got two main tools, and really understanding the difference between them is the key to all of this. So let's break them down.
First up, the one everyone's heard of, the last will and testament. The easiest way to think about a will is as your personal set of instructions for the probate court. It's where you say who gets what, and maybe most importantly, who you want to be the guardian for your kids. But, and this is the crucial part, notice that last line. It is probate dependent. A will doesn't avoid court, it just tells the court what to do. And then, you have the revocable living trust. Now, this is a whole different animal. It's not just a piece of paper with instructions, it's a private, legal entity, kind of like a protective box that you create. You put your assets inside this box, you control everything in it while you're alive, and then when you pass, it distributes everything exactly as you planned, completely outside of court. No probate needed. And you know, when you see them laid out side by side like this, the differences are just crystal clear. Probate, required for a will, completely avoided with a trust. Privacy, a will becomes public record for anyone to see. A trust stays 100% private. Access to assets? With a will, your family is waiting months, maybe years. With a trust, access is immediate. So what's the catch? Well, you can see it there at the bottom. Upfront cost. A will is usually cheaper to create, while a trust costs more to set up properly. So, given that a trust costs more upfront, why do so many people go that route? Let's dig into the advantages, because it really all boils down to avoiding all those problems we just talked about. And here it is, the number one reason. You get to avoid probate entirely. That means you take that slow, public, and expensive court process completely off the table for your family. That's the whole game right there. And because you skip probate, your family gets immediate access. The person you put in charge, your successor trustee, can step in on day one. They can pay the mortgage, they can handle the bills, they can manage investments. There's no court freezing everything. Life doesn't have to grind to a halt.
And here's the one people often forget about: total privacy. Because it all happens outside of court, nobody knows your business. Your finances, who you left money to, what your final wishes were, it all stays within the family. With a will, all of that becomes a public document. Anyone can go down to the courthouse and read it. But here's where trusts get really powerful. It's not just about speed and privacy. A trust gives you an incredible amount of control to protect your legacy long after you're gone. It's not just about who gets your assets, it's about how and when. So, for example, let's say you don't want your 21-year-old son or daughter to get a huge inheritance all at once. I mean, what would you have done with that at 21? So instead, you can set up staged distributions. They get a third when they turn 21, another third at 25, and the rest when they're 30. It gives them time to mature and learn how to handle money responsibly. So you might be thinking it's a will versus trust smackdown, an either-or choice. But the truth is, the most effective, rock-solid plans actually use both of them, working together as a team to create a total safety net. But first, I have to give you a really critical warning. You can go out and get the most brilliantly drafted trust in the world, but if you don't actually put your assets into it, if you don't retitle your house, your bank accounts, your investments into the name of the trust, then it's worthless. This is called funding the trust, and without it, an unfunded trust is just some very expensive, fancy paper. So a complete plan, the whole package, protects you while you're alive and after you're gone. It starts with that revocable living trust to hold all your major assets. But then, you also have a special kind of will called a pour-over will.
Think of it as a safety net designed to catch any assets you might have forgotten to put in the trust. And on top of that, you have documents for incapacity, like a power of attorney for your finances and a healthcare directive for medical decisions. So if you ever can't make decisions for yourself, someone you trust can step in immediately.
All right, to wrap this up, let's just quickly bust a few really common myths. These are dangerous misconceptions and so-called shortcuts that can cause the exact problems you're trying so hard to avoid.
Let's start with the single biggest myth in all of estate planning. So many people believe that if they just get a will, they've solved the probate problem for their family.
The answer is a hard no. A will does not, I repeat, does not avoid probate. In fact, a will's entire purpose is to be used in probate court. The best way to think about it is this. A will is your ticket to the probate show, not a way to get around it. It's just your list of instructions for the judge. Okay, here's another popular shortcut people try. They think, hey, I'll just add my daughter as a joint owner on my bank account and on the deed of my house. That way she gets it automatically and we avoid probate. Sounds simple, right? Well, this can turn into an absolute nightmare.
It's a massive risk, and here's why. First, the second you add them as an owner, your assets are now exposed to their creditors. So if they get into a car wreck, get divorced, or file for bankruptcy, your money and your house are on the line. Second, when you die, that asset is 100% theirs, legally. It doesn't matter what your will says. So this can completely and often accidentally disinherit your other kids. So who really needs a plan? Well, honestly, almost everyone. But if you're a parent with young kids, it's non-negotiable. You have to name a guardian. If you own a home, a trust is the only surefire way to pass it on without court involvement. If you're in a blended family, a clear plan is absolutely essential to prevent fighting. But really, it's for anyone with any assets they want to protect for the people they love.
And we'll end on this one simple question. Because when it's all said and done, having a plan is the difference between leaving your family a legacy of security and support or leaving them a legacy of chaos, conflict, and court dates. The choice, really, is yours.